Hello, Maverick traders, and welcome out to your daily currency recap. This is Ankit here, and I'll be breaking down today's market price action. It's a Wednesday, April the 16th, 2025. Hope everyone's doing well. I mean, this week is definitely feels like a breezer compared to last week when we had all that volatility. So, you're gonna get to tell you that how quickly markets can change in a short period of time. All right, let's get into it. As always, we'll be taking a look at what's happening in the broader markets, take a look at what's happening in the currency baskets, what's happening on the news front, and then we'll take a look at some possible setups ahead. Let's get into it.
Do you want to be a professional trader? Maverick Currencies is the oldest US-based Forex and crypto prop trading company that will pay you for trading with our capital. Trade our capital and keep 70 to 80% of the profits. We are looking for traders just like you that are hardworking and motivated. Click the apply link on the top right of this video to see if you have what it takes. That link takes you to a 4-minute video that explains the trader position available, and you read a list of FAQs that answer pretty much all the basic questions you have at this point. After watching the video and reading the FAQs, if you're interested, fill out an application, then you'll watch the full-length recruiting video and then schedule an interview with one of our traders. Are you our next trader?
So as we jump into the market analysis, let's just jump right into the headlines and the numbers. And starting with the headlines for the day, market sells off. So market, again, remains bearish. We are in this bear rally formation, and then we got this Powell speech. So Fed Chair Powell was speaking this afternoon, and pretty much to summarize, based on what he said, is that the bar for cutting rates is pretty high. So, every time market gets in trouble, people get excited or people start to, increase the bets that the Fed's going to start cutting rates. And they're just coming out and saying, hey, that bar is really high. Things have to go really bad before they have to, make a policy change. So, again, market didn't like that news, and we sold off on that news. As far as the currencies goes, I must say that today we just didn't see those spikes. We get that risk on and risk off. Let's say the market is selling off, so you see safe haven currencies really spike. We didn't really see that. So, today's one of those days where, even though if you didn't really look at that correlation, it was okay because we didn't follow that correlation. Market kind of did its own thing. Now, as far as the news events goes, we just had the Bank of Canada today, and they made no changes. So remember, they had made 7 consecutive cuts to the rate policy. So this one was a pause, again, going through all this turmoil or this inflation risk that we have because of tariffs. Seems like the central banks are more like taking a bit of pause here and then kind of reassessing where these policies takes us. Now, when we take a look at currency movements today, well, I must say that, it was a decent percentage move because, you can see Kiwi was up 0.71%, Aussie was up, Swiss franc was up, dollar was down, and the yen was up. But one of the things that was different today was that we just got a polar opposite. We were seeing a nice performance in the dollar yesterday. Dollar is the worst. CAD was actually performing the worst yesterday, is actually holding in today. So, this is a very typical price action that we look at as consolidation, where things are just bouncing back and forth. We had a period where things were just moving aggressively one with the other, but now we're just getting days where, one day up, one day down. So this is just expect some more consolidation, some more churn. Before we can really pick up that direction that we've seen in the last couple of weeks. I think that's really where we are in the markets. Now, when we take a look at broader markets, take a look at S&P, and this is where, take a look at percentage change, down 2.24%, World Stock Index down as well. Crypto was like slightly up. Gold, you want to talk about things just keep running. Gold is the one that just doesn't make sense, but at the same time, but we don't need to make sense. We just need to follow the price action. Sometimes things just don't make sense. Gold is the one that continues to catch the bet. And now oil markets is up as well. So again, nothing really negative if you look at outside of the U.S. markets. We didn't really see that risk-off sentiment across the board. Now looking at the crypto world, you can see that Bitcoin is the outperformer. Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum, Litecoin, both down. So crypto overall is just not an interesting space to be in right now. As far as the outlook goes, well, I want everyone to think about the pattern that we're seeing here. So you can see that we are still below the 20, still below the 50. We had the massive day last week, but you see, we haven't really broken out of that range at all. So I think we're probably going range bound here for a bit. And I think that's how the currencies are moving as well, where things might go a little range bound for a bit because it's just not as clear as far as where the direction goes. We've seen percentage moves have shortened as well. We were seeing a much bigger moves last week and a half. Things have kind of calmed down here where smaller percentage moves, and we're just not seeing that aggressiveness here. So I think this is likely to go sideways, but keep in mind that we still have that downward pressure, meaning that if we get up, I mean, there's better chance that might get pushed down because the trend is overall down. Now, when we take a look at the outlook or the events for the next 24 hours, you can see we have few events, a couple of events tonight, the Kiwi CPI and Aussie employment report. So these two ones, if you're looking at trading the Aussie and the Kiwi in the Asian session, these are the ones to watch. And then tomorrow we get this ECB rate statement. This is, again, they're expecting to cut rates by 25 basis points. So there's still things to be on the docket that we have left. Remember, Friday is a holiday. It's a holiday shortened week. So we're just going to have a bit of a next 24 hours is going to be where all the activity is going to happen and things is going to die down. So if you're looking to be active, I think from tonight till tomorrow morning, midday will be the best time. And after that, I think we'll probably see a lower volatility. Now, as far as the currency analysis goes, let's just take a look at what the velocity scores are telling us. And if you take a look at velocity scores, you can notice that we don't have anything in the +3 or the -3 in the currency world. I mean, the dollar and the pound is showing the most weakness, but you cannot see that outside of that, it's either a -1 or +1. So that's why things have just kind of gone into a smaller percentage change. So let's just take a look at some charts and possible setups ahead.
Do you want to be a professional trader? Maverick Currencies is the oldest US-based Forex and crypto prop trading company that will pay you for trading with our capital. Trade our capital and keep 70 to 80% of the profits. We are looking for traders just like you that are hardworking and motivated. Click the apply link on the top right of this video to see if you have what it takes. That link takes you to a 4-minute video that explains the trader position available, and you read a list of FAQs that answer pretty much all the basic questions you have at this point. After watching the video and reading the FAQs, if you're interested, fill out an application, then you'll watch the full-length recruiting video, and then schedule an interview with one of our traders. Are you our next trader?
So let's just jump into the charts over here. So, we looked at the S&P. You can see that this looks more like a bear rally to me. So now question is that our currencies are kind of setting up the same way. Let's start with the yen. You can see that yen had quite a bit of volatility here, but overall it's still supported by this, EMA. It's still above the parabolic SAR. So the trend is still to the upside, but at the same time, we just getting sideways move here. It's not aggressively going higher or lower. Dollar, on the other hand, seems to catch a break. And this is where I got a lot of questions recently, like, what's driving the dollar lower? And I think this is where I wish we had a better, clear answer because, it's not the Fed. The Fed is staying hawkish, or they are not as dovish as you would think. We have bond market kind of stabilized here as well. I think there's just that underlying weakness, in this dollar here that just, can't seem to catch a break. And you can see all this really started in April, like in mid-April is where, things were kind of holding in fine. We had some rallies here, but then now we're just getting selling off on every rally. So this is where trade is trend score in front of you. And right now it's showing you a nice downtrend. This is a -2 to -3. I mean, right now consolidation happening here on the RSI, but still making new lower lows. I think it's pretty clear where the price action is going. We don't want to trade what we think will happen. Just trade what's happening in front of you. And until this downtrend can reverse, and we see that on a 4-hour chart where price action gets above this moving average, I think that's when the price is over. But right now, as you can see that every time it gets to that point, it keeps running lower. So What I just continue guiding that as soon as I get above it, we out of it. Dollar remains weak. Now, Swiss franc, remember that's a currency that's flying. This week, I must say that it's been a lot of volatility in this currency because, here we are. We got a nice big move over here. We got a big rally over here that we just turned lower here. A classic sideways or consolidation price action. So that's what we are seeing here is consolidation. I think probably things go back and forth without, giving us a clear clarity here. So this is not a breakout strategy here. I think you need to anticipate for a little bit more of a sideways price action. Here we are with the euro. Kind of similar thing too. Notice that euro, Swiss franc, and even the yen kind of look similar. They're all consolidating, but they're above the 20-day moving average or this 13-day exponential moving average. So nothing really has changed. I think the velocity has changed. The rate at which things are moving has changed. But trend-wise, nothing really has changed. As we go into the pound, I think pound looks relatively much weaker. We had a rally early this week, and you can see that the rally is already kind of fading away. So pound to me actually looks like a good candidate to the short side off this bear rally. Now we go over to the CAD. What are we seeing in the CAD? We're not really seeing a strong trend in the CAD. CAD is kind of fallen back here. This is another currency that likely to go sideways. Now we go to the Aussie. You can see that Aussie had a nice rally compared to, very similar to what we saw in the equity markets. But right now, equity markets are falling. And this is where you ask the question, like, why the Aussie's not falling? Well, this is where, if there's a disconnect in that price action, you don't need to always trade, or you think that they will catch up. We can see some outperformance in these currencies. So right now, you can see this is a consolidation phase. We had a massive rally. It's just going sideways. For this to really pick a direction, it needs to break above these key levels to really get that going. But right now, based on what we're seeing, I would expect this to go a little bit more sideways here. Remember, China is still an issue with the trade tariffs. Like we haven't seen any new development. We haven't seen those tariffs that got put in place is getting taken away or exempted or put on pause. There's no development there. So Aussie still is a bit at a risk with what's happening with the tariffs. So be careful when you're trading the Aussie here, but it's likely to go back and forth here. And lastly, Kiwi. I mean, this was one of the best rallies you can see in this little recovery period here. But take where we are. We had that massive rally. We broke lower. We rallied higher. We are back in the range. So this is where I know a lot of traders are looking at this and say, I think this is going to continue going higher. I think we need to see that clarity, or we need to see that break to give us a confirmation that yes, it's really breaking higher, because based on where we are right now and where we're stalling is really, really right back at the range. So Kiwi had a nice rally, but it's stalling here. So for this to really break out, again, 4-hour chart setting up very nicely here, I need to see a break above this level. I need to see this break above this level on the currency basket to really get me going. But I think that at this point, it's stalling right at the resistance. So I'd expect a little bit more sideways price action. So as you can see that as we just went through all these charts, we're looking at more consolidation than trends. So I think this is where, as a trader, you need to take a look at what's moving today. Yesterday was the dollar was moving today. Today is something else moving, so just kind of take a look at what really moving. As far as the setup goes, we are back at the support level in some currency pairs. I just don't have a clear clarity on where things are going. I mean, if you want to just take a look at that chart, I mean, dollar Swiss franc is a nice little 4-hour time frame, making a little base here. This can potentially break lower. So technically speaking, this one looks the best to me. But, we have the pound that's underperforming. So why don't we take a look at some of the pound pairs? So we are pound Kiwi. You can see this thing looks nice here on this break of the support. Remember, it's consolidating. I need a confirmation of a break of the support. We take a look at pound Aussie, not so much. I think pound Kiwi looks the best. And here we are, pound Kiwi or pound CAD. Even though CAD is not really moving as much, but then CAD, the CAD's not moving as much, but pound is moving lower. So this one again looks interesting as well. So this is where you can sort of trade the price action in front of you, pretty much. Trade that relative to the weakness, and then stay away from things that are likely to be volatile. but then look at things that are just consistently performing and outperforming and underperforming. And in the situation like this, let's take a look at how euro pound is doing, and you'll see the underperformance in the pound here. So even euro pound, euro is slowly rising higher. So I think I like pound short over here. That looks the best. We can take a look at some of the dollar pairs. They're sort of consolidating. That looks the best. But outside of that, I don't have a good strong call here. I think market can easily go sideways tomorrow, and then perhaps some sideways price action in the currencies. But remember, we still have news events to go through. Aussie and Kiwi tonight, and we have the ECB rate cut tomorrow. So again, this is where you'll say, look, like, with the ECB is expected to cut rates. But it's not really, I don't think market cares about that. I think it's more about the forward guidance, but all that is really priced in here. So don't really expect a whole lot from euro based on, the chart that we're looking at. It's not really moving higher or lower. So in conclusion, again, holiday shortened week, we have small window to make some pips and pretty much call up the week. Compared to what we had last week, again, this week is much quieter as far as volatility goes. So this is where your activity should go lower as well. I be more selective in the positions you're taking. Understand how long you're going to be holding for, and then use the appropriate time frame for it. And then as we start to see more pickup in activity, I think that will be the time to sort of pick up in your activity as well. But again, not every day is a great day. Not every day is where we see big moves. So it's very important to know when to be active and not to be active. And when things are not clear, it's better to be less active than more active. That's the game plan here. Thanks for joining. Again, there'll be no currency recap tomorrow since market's going to close. Currency markets will be open, but again, broader markets will be closed. So we'll just see a lower liquidity in the market. So those are the times I don't really prefer to trade. And I think that's where close up and then take a look at the upcoming week ahead for next big opportunities. Thanks, everyone. See you next one.